Just a quick note before we jump into this video. This is part 2 in a part 3 series about the IPCC's 6th assessment report. If you haven't already, I suggest you go back and watch part 1 first, which summarizes Working Group 1's contribution to AR6. As a quick reminder though, part 1, the physical basis of climate change, stated unequivocally that human activity has led to a rise in greenhouse gases, which is causing an unprecedented level of environmental changes, like increases in heat waves, severe storm frequency, drought intensity, and sea level rise. Scientists have also observed a decrease in the intensity and severity of cold waves, and Arctic ice is at an all-time low. But what does this actually mean for the planet? What impacts do these environmental changes have on the ecosystem and human society? In February 2022, Working Group 2 released their report, entitled Impacts, Adaptation, and Vulnerability, to answer these questions. Let's start with the impacts that have already been observed due to climate change. Due to the increased frequency and severity of natural disasters, scientists have observed widespread impacts to human society and nature's ecosystems. Wildfires, severe storms, and flooding cause damage to buildings and infrastructure and to local wildlife habitats. Climate change has also caused steadily growing problems like ocean acidification and sea level rise. Some of these impacts are already irreversible, such as species extinction. Others, like the melting glaciers and Arctic thaw, are nearing the tipping point. Scientists have also noted that as the Earth warms, regions around the equator have become unlivable, and animals and plant life have begun to shift polewards, having severe implication not only for nature's ecosystems, but for human agriculture as well. What's more, climate change has also started to affect human health. Extreme heat waves are correlated to morbidity and death. Increased flooding has led to contamination of people's water supply with harmful bacteria and toxins. Severe wildfires and increased pollution have been associated with cardiovascular and respiratory problems. Even mental health challenges have been associated to the trauma of losing homes, livelihoods, and loved ones due to extreme weather events. Climate change is even affecting the economy. Transportation, energy, water, and sanitation infrastructure systems have all been impacted by climate change. And while there have been certain economic positives in some regions, like increased tourism and agricultural markets, these same sectors are declining in other regions, along with other economic sectors like fishing, forestry, and outdoor labor. What's more, a severe weather event, like a hurricane or wildfire, can stop economic growth in a region for years, while the community struggles to rebuild and recover. Certain regions and populations are more vulnerable to the effects of climate change than others. For example, indigenous populations, whose lifestyle, food, and water supply all depend on a well-balanced natural ecosystem, are very vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Coastal regions and small islands are greatly threatened by rising sea levels. Overall, regions that are impoverished, have governmental challenges, or are unable to secure basic resources are more vulnerable to climate change because of the lack of infrastructure and services. And remember, these are all things we have already observed, at just an increase of 1 degree Celsius. In the best case scenario, we will all take steps to limit the increase in global surface temperature to no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. But even then, there are some adverse impacts that are unavoidable. IPCC scientists are highly confident that as global temperatures increase, so will the severity and frequency of climate-related disasters, further exacerbating the impacts to the ecosystem, biodiversity, and human health and society. What happens in the long term is a bit more complex and depends on what we as humans decide to do. If we continue with business as normal, the global surface temperature will continue to increase, with every degree increase bringing more damage and irreversible losses. And these events are likely to compound, making everything even worse. For example, rising sea levels, in combination with heavy rainfall and storms, will lead to disastrous flooding. Drought, in combination with extreme heat waves, will cause the risk of out-of-control wildfires to soar. As difficult as these disasters are to manage and rebuild from today, it will only continue to grow exponentially worse if we do nothing. However, Working Group 2's contribution is not all doom and gloom. They note that although progress is fragmented and slow, public and political awareness for climate action has grown, and plans for adaptation have begun. Most of the current adaptation plans are centered around water-related risks, like implementing flood warning systems, building levees, water conservation, and more sustainable farm irrigation. There are also plans to improve food availability and increase sustainability through changes in fishery, urban agriculture, and better methods for pest control and pollination. We can also make adaptations to protect forests and oceans and the biodiversity found within these natural ecosystems. Moving forward, we should make sure to incorporate climate change adaptations as a critical part of any urban design, including energy resilience and diversification, promoting education, and improving human health systems. There are many adaptation actions we can take, but there are also many challenges that come with actually implementing them. This will require the cooperation of governments, private organizations, and civil society all working together. We need to make sure that these adaptations are well funded, we need politicians to follow through on their commitments, we need clear goals and guidelines for everyone to follow, and we need monitoring systems to make sure the adaptations we make are working effectively. The window to act is rapidly closing. Many see this report as the final warning for us to seriously start implementing climate adaptation and mitigation strategies before our planet is irreversibly changed. Thankfully, the final contribution to AR6, which will be released later this year by Working Group 3, will discuss exactly what these strategies are, so stay tuned for Part 3, Mitigation of Climate Change.